वासुदेव ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सताम्. Okay, so what we'll do is, long time since we had any gratitude, gratitude. Do we still have someone today for that? Gratitude to Srila Prabhupada.
Mataji, whosoever are present are done with it. जो 2-3 बाकी हैं, they are not present.
Okay, no worries. Who wants to volunteer? Gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, straight from the heart. Go for it. Who wants to have this wonderful opportunity? Who wants to grab this opportunity? Or should I call out?
No, call out.
Come on. Who wants to? Veenu, do you want to?
No, Mataji. Next class I will do.
On you all. Whenever someone says gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, it should come automatically. No need of preparation. There's not a speech. Give me just 2 points. You're grateful to Srila Prabhupada. That's it. Someone else?
At a ripe old age, I'll just try.
Go for it.
Just to save us all from suffering, he took so much effort, so much pains to write out all these, literature, texts, and then just to make it slightly easier for us and to ease our suffering and to ensure that we walk the path to go back home to Godhead. It was a great effort, and at that age, even while he was almost leaving his body, Toby, he was, as I heard from Ram Bhadra Prabhu ji Houston, he was talking in the dictaphone, doing the Srimad Bhagavatam, even while he was just on the verge of leaving his body. So, of course, all heartfelt gratitude for, just as a parent tries to make things easier for children, similarly, he did just to ease up our suffering.
True. यदि प्रभुपाद नहीं होते तो क्या होता? What would happen to us? Do you think we would have understood Bhagavatam without his purports?
Absolutely.
That too in English. It's Hindi में भी आ जाता, supposing. फिर भी कहाँ? It's so difficult to understand without his purports. So
Mataji, वो नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी we feel always we feel his presence through his books and his teachings, na, always.
Yes, because an acharya, a great Nitya Siddha, never dies, no? He's always here. So there are 2 ways of looking at it, that he has never left us. He's there with us. And secondly, a guru never leaves till he takes all his disciples. So that's another thing. So he's still with us through his Vani. We are associating with him every day through his Vani. So we have the best association, the best sadhusam. So grateful we are, no? See, something from the heart always is the best.
एंड वन मोर
And-
थिंग माता जी, मैं तो बाहर आई हूँ तो आई ऑलवेज थिंक कि जैसा इंडिया में था सेम सब कुछ, मतलब इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग फाउंडेशन दिया है प्रभुपाद जी ने कि आप उसको तोड़ ही नहीं सकते, सब कुछ सेम। मुझे कहीं प्रॉब्लम नहीं आती, चाहे मैं जकार्ता गई हूँ चाहे सिंगापुर गई हूँ, हर जगह बिल्कुल मुझे ऐसा लगता है बिल्कुल इंडिया जैसा ही कल्चर फॉलो हो रहा है। ये बेस्ट थिंग है जो प्रभुपाद जी ने दी है हम लोगों को। कोई
correct.
कंफ्यूजन नहीं, कोई कंट्रोवर्सी नहीं।
Not only did he give us the scriptures, but he established something called GBC, where everything is managed under their council and same standards everywhere. No one deviates from those standards which Srila Prabhupada has given. So he had the vision of not only spiritually giving us knowledge through the books, but he was so good in management. So good in management. He was good in everything. He was good in marketing, he was good in management, but he made sure that the GBC which was founded, even for the next 10,000 years, we just have to follow GBC. So there will be no deviation. No temple, every temple you go will follow the same routine. Subah 4:10 Mangla Aarti hogi hi hogi.
This thing was highlighted when last week, fortunately, I happened to go with my husband. He's definitely not a regular, definitely not. तो चले थे एंड रामभद्र प्रभु जी से मुलाकात हुई थी. ही गेव अस 10 minutes बैठ के बात करके. सो उनके साथ बैठ के एटलीस्ट वन थिंग विच माय हस्बैंड रिमार्क, ये बिल्कुल ही कॉर्पोरेट ऑर्गेनाइज्ड स्ट्रक्चर है, बिकॉज प्रभु जी डिड टेल हिम कि देयर आर अबाउट 20 डिपार्टमेंट्स, यू नो, ईच हैंडलिंग डिफरेंट थिंग्स. And बिल्कुल कि all SOPs are in place, standard operating procedures, no deviation कि मेरा मन पड़ा मैंने ऐसे किया ऐसा किया, nothing doing, everything. This is just in concurrence of what you were saying now, आप जो अभी बता रहे थे.
Absolutely. So it's also like when we remember when you all were all there for the initiation also. What did Guru Maharaj say? He said that I am also a servant of GBC. I also have to follow all the rules and regulations. So it is such a system that everyone happily follows. So if there is a process for initiation, there is a particular, of course, in earlier days it was not there, but now the family is growing, so there has to be a little bit of what do you call seriousness in it. So so therefore there are a lot of paperwork in place, procedures in place, so that there is no discrepancy. So that's what he was saying, you know, I'm also a servant of GBC. So what is the attitude? All these top sannyasis also, they also have the attitude of being the servant, because GBC is a representation of ISKCON, which is Prabhupada. So again, we have to be so grateful. You know, a lot of people say that it's like a corporate, but it has to be, look at the amount of work which has to be done, amount of management which has to be done, Lakshmi coming in, Lakshmi being spent, everything has to be done in a proper way. So yeah, so we have to be grateful to Srila Prabhupada even for that, for teaching not only how to get out of this material world, but how to live in the material world also. Isn't it? Yes. So let's start. We're going to start the third chapter. And to give you all a gist of the third chapter it's a list of all the avatars. Now, a lot of people think that, acha, jaldi ho jayega, it will be quick because we just have to read. But it's one of the most important chapters, because this chapter contains the Paribhasha Sutra. Yete Amsha Kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. This is the Paribhasha Sutra. What is Paribhasha? What is the definition of Paribhasha Sutra? Is that all philosophical deductions are contained in this one sutra. So if you use this formula anywhere in Bhagavatam, it will be solved. Just like if you have a Pythagoras theorem formula, you can solve it, or you have some formula for how to calculate the area of a quadrilateral or a pentagon or whatever. Without that, you can't, right? So Paribhasha Sutra means the sutra gives you the definition and can be used for any philosophical deduction throughout the scripture. It's very important. There are more, but this comes in this chapter. And it is most important for us to understand. This is one concept we have to understand very clearly. Before we start, let's start with our prayers. Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnanan Janashalakaya Chakshurun Mutam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhivetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devan Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Putri Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We'll do a little bit of a recap. So the first chapter was the 6 questions. So what was the first question? Anyone remembers?
What is the ultimate good for people?
What is the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general? And this answer was given in
1.2.6.
what is the answer?
That we have to do devotional service which should be uninterrupted and unmotivated.
So what is the shloka?
Savainam,
Hai Pumsam.
yeah, I memorized it, but I forgot.
Hai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adhokshate Ahai Tuki Abhyata Yayatma Suprasidati. Yeah? Ahai Tuki and Apratihata.
That is unmotivated and uninterrupted.
Uninterrupted. Excellent. What's the second question?
Explain the essence of the scriptures.
Explain. And what is the answer?
Answer is quite linked to 1.2.6. It's there in 1.2.6, I believe.
Yeah, 2.7.
Yeah.
Correct? Anyone else? What are your notes saying? 6 and 7 is answer to question 1 and question 2. Yes? Then what is the third question?
Why did the Lord go on?
Go ahead, Anjali.
Why did the Lord appear in the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudeva?
And what's the answer?
To help the bhaktas and destroy demons.
That is the Bhagavad Gita answer. What is the Bhagavatam answer? 1.2.34. Okay, so to reclaim the souls. Yeah, I'll just share it. Can I share? Is it about? Yeah.
Yes, Mataji.
Those who are in the mode of goodness to reclaim.
Thus, the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by devatas, men, and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Yeah, so why did he come? Why did he incarnate? Because to reclaim pure souls. That's why he reincarnated. And the fourth question was,
Who are Purush avatars?
who are the Purusha avatars? So 30 to 33 actually in this last chapter gave a little gist of it. But now in the third chapter, verse 1 to 5 is the answer to the fourth question, which is what are the Purusha avatars? So this entire section, chapter 3, verse text 1 to 5 is the answer to the fourth question, which is what are the Purusha avatars? So we all know what are the Purusha avatars, right? So here it's going to be given in detail again. We know it, but still it's given in detail. So what are the Purusha avatars?
Karnodakshai Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Shirodakshai Vishnu.
Correct. So what is the role of Karnodakshai? So we will learn that. What is the role of Karnodakshai? What is the role of Garbhodakshai? What is the role of Shirodakshai? Yeah. So we will learn that today. So we will start from text 1. Please repeat after me. Sutta Uvacha Jagre Paurusham Rupam
Jagre Paurusham Rupam
Bhagavan Mahad Adibihi
Bhagavan Mahad Adibihi
Sambhutam Shodasha Kalam. Kalam.
Sambhutam Shodasha Kalam
Adav Loka Sishrikshaya
Adav Loka Shishikshaya.
Sutta said, in the beginning of creation, the Lord first expanded himself in the universal form of the Purusha incarnation and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. And thus, at first, there was the creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universes. Okay. So let's go through this line by line. So in the beginning of creation, so when we are talking about beginning of creation, we are talking about beginning of material creation. And material world is created and annihilated time and time again. When and how it happens is according to the will of the Lord. You cannot put a date or time on when he will create the material universe. He can take a break also. So first the Lord expands himself in the universal form. So the first expansion of the Lord, so Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality. His first expansion is, who is his first expansion? This you should know very well.
Balaram.
Balram.
Lord Balaram, correct.
Is the
Lord
manifestation.
Balaram. Sorry?
Balram is the manifestation, no?
Yes, he is the first expansion. Manifestation, expansion is the same.
Okay.
So first is Lord Balaram. Now from Balaram, again you have the,
Sankarshan.
yes. And from Sankarshan, you have
Narayana.
Narayan. And from Narayan, you have
Mahavishnu.
Mahavishnu or Karanodakshaya Vishnu, right? Now, when he expands himself, when he's calling the universal form of the Purusha, he's talking about Karanodakshaya Vishnu. Now, what happens over here? Karanodakshaya breathes out, right? Breathes in, breathes out. When he breathes out, from every pore of his body, bubbles, universes come out like bubbles. You know, just like you go to a fair and you blow into that little bubble thingy, and there's so many bubbles coming out. Just like that, from every pore of Mahavishnu comes out universes, right? And then what happens? What is Mahat Tattva? This is important. Mahat Tattva is the raw material of all material creation, the raw material. So then Karnodakshayi Vishnu glances at Mahat Tattva, which gets agitated, and then from Pradhana comes Pradhana is the raw material, then Mahat Tattva, and all the creation begins. So this glance of his is Shambhu, Lord Shiva. And what is Pradhan? What is Mahat Tattva? It's Durga Devi. So who's Durga's husband?
Shankar,
Huh?
Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva, Shambhu, right? So then Durga and Shambhu together, they create all the jivas. That's why we are also, that is the form of the yoni, the Shivling. So what is the importance of Lord Shiva in ling form? Is because of creation. It is the agitation of Mahat Tattva, which is Durga Devi, and the glance of Mahavishnu, which is Lord Shiva, Shambhu. So they get together. So Mahavishnu does not interact with Durga at all. Right? Mahavishnu does not interact. Please remember this. Lord Vishnu does not interact with Durga. Only he just glances. That glance takes the form of Shambhu, and he then unites with Durga. This Shambhu form is the ling form from which all us yonis, all our jiva, all us take birth. All the jivas take birth. That is why we worship Lord Shiva in the ling form. Right? So she is our mother and he is our father. But that glance, what is the glance? It comes from Mahavishnu. So all these 16 principles are there in raw form, but it gets agitated and then it is used for creation in Mahat Tattva. So what are these 16 principles? These are the 5 elements, which is earth, summer,
Earth,
water,
water, air, ether, fire.
Fire.
correct. Earth, water, air, ether, fire.
Fire.
Right. And then what is then there are, so that is 5. But it's mentioned over here 16. So you have 5 more, right? So what is the other? Jnanendriya, the senses, the karmendriya, the objects of the senses, and the mind. All these. So the gross elements are earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then you have the eyes, ear, nose, tongue, skin. These are the Jnanendriya, knowledge acquiring senses. Then you have the working senses, hands, legs, voice, anus, genitals. Right? And then you have the Tanmatra. Tanmatra is like form, sound, smell, taste, touch. And including the mind, all these form the field of activities. I think you must have done this in detail in chapter 13 in Bhagavad Gita. If we haven't come to chapter 13, then you will learn this all in detail. You will learn it again and again also in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so I'll tell you again.
Repeat? Yeah.
Five gross elements: earth, water, air, fire, ether. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. You have the Jnanendriyas, knowledge acquiring senses. It's called the Jnanendriyas. Eyes, ear, nose, tongue, skin. Then you have the
Ears,
nose,
nose,
tongue, and
skin.
skin. Then you have the karmendriyas, the working senses, which are the hands, the legs, the voice, the anus, and the genitals. These are all your working senses. And then you have the Vishaya, objects. So this Gnanendriyas and Vishaya, objects of senses, are interrelated. You have 16 only. 16. So 5 are the 5 gross elements, 5 Gnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, that is 15, plus mind, which is 16. But the objects of senses are Vishaya, which is connected to Gnanendriyas, which is eyes, why? To see the form, ears for sound, nose to smell, tongue to taste, skin to touch. So for now, just learn the Panchabhutas, Gnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, and mind. So this forms your 16, which is mentioned in the verse. Yes, got it? Okay. So now this material creation, when the action happens, so what is the purpose? So what is the role of Karnodakshai Vishnu? The role is the creating the material universes. He gives the ingredients for material universes. So when you're creating, he's creating all these universes, but he's also giving ingredients for creation within the material universes. From his pores, all these universes are come. But for creation inside, so that is primary creation. Now, Brahma is going to do secondary creation. Karnodakshai Vishnu does Sarga, primary creation. But Brahma is going to do Visarga, which is secondary creation. So he gives also the ingredients. These 16 principles, these are the 16 ingredients, which is common in every jiva. Every jiva has this in different ways. A fish may not have hands, but will have fins, right? Like that. May not have nose to breathe, but will have gills. According to the form, according to the function of the jiva, these 16 are basic, which is given to all, right? So this is the role of Karnodakshai. I'm just going to read this. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also mentioned that the material world is created. Okay, let me share it. And why can't I share it? It is sharing, right? You can see it, right?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
So in the Bhagavad Gita, it is also mentioned that the material world is created at certain intervals and then again destroyed. This creation and destruction is done by the supreme will because of the conditioned souls or the Nitya Baddha living beings. The Nitya Baddha or the eternally conditioned souls have the sense of individuality or ahankar, which dictates to them sense enjoyment, which they are unable to have constitutionally. The Lord is the only enjoyer and all others are enjoyed. The living beings are predominated enjoyers, but the eternally conditioned souls, forgetful of their constitutional position, have strong aspirations to enjoy. The chance to enjoy matter is given to the conditioned souls in the material world, and side by side, they are given the chance to understand their real constitutional position. So two things you have to take note of is Nitya Baddha. We are all Nitya Baddha, eternally bound or eternally bound to the material world. But what is the important point here? Side by side, we are given a chance to understand our real constitutional position. Now, why are we called Nitya Baddhas? it's not that we are eternally and we will eternally be Nityabaddhas. That's not the meaning of Nityabaddha. Nityabaddha means eternally we are bound to the material world, because nobody can put a timestamp to when we came into the material world. No one can put a timestamp. So therefore we are called Nityabaddhas. But we are given a chance to understand our real constitutional position. What is our real constitutional position?
Servant of
Survivor,
Servant.
eternal survivor of the Lord.
Very good. And now this will become even more validated if you give me a verse. So try to think of a verse. What verse can you give me? Jivera.
Swarupe Hoye Krishnera Nityada.
Very good. So next time when you answer, try to think of verses also, which will validate. And as you start thinking like this, then you will see that more and more verses will appear in your mind, right? So when you're studying, also try to keep these few verses always with you. Some questions will always be asked, so you should know this. Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. We are, the real constitutional position is that we are Krishna's eternal servants, right? So now when we understand this, what does it do? It helps us get out of this Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, again and again, this cycle of birth, death, old age and disease, out of this material world back to the spiritual world. Once we go back to the spiritual world again, because the spiritual world is eternal, there is no time. Time factors there only in the material world. Krishna says in 11th chapter, Aham Kalosmi, right? There is no Kal, there is no time in the spiritual world. It is eternal. So therefore you become Nitya Siddhas. We all can become Nitya Siddhas. Please do not think that Nitya Siddhas is a different category. We will eternally be Nitya Baddhas. You will be eternally a Nitya Baddha only till the time you are in the material world. But if you have the chance and you have understood your real constitutional position and you're willing to do everything that Acharya says to get back home, back to Godhead, like Srila Prabhupada says, you will become Nitya Siddhas. Right? So those fortunate living entities who catch the truth and surrender unto the lotus feet of Vasudeva, which is that verse? Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Sa Mahatma.
Atma Sudurlabha.
If you understand Vasudeva is Sarvam Iti, then what will you do? You will surrender. So all those multiple births which you have taken finally has come to the right conclusion. You will become eternally liberated, Nitya Siddha. Right? So here Srila Prabhupada talks about how the Mahat Tattva contains all the ingredients. We spoke about the 16 parts. So he's saying the same thing. 5 gross material elements, 11 working instruments and senses, and the mind. Yes. All these universes are collectively produced by the Karana Dakshai Vishnu, and also the Mahavishnu, who simply throws his glance to impregnate the material sky. And the glance is Lord Shambhu. Yeah. So now this Shambhu is only in the material world. There is a Sadashiva in the spiritual world who is Vishnu Tattva. Please don't confuse between that Sadashiva and this Shambhu. This Shiva is only in the material world. But that Sadashiv who is in the spiritual world is Vishnu Tattva Sadashiv. He has a spiritual world. He is eternal. This is not that. This is material. This is a Jiva. Okay, any question? Should we move ahead? Okay, so we
So Mataji, this Lord Shiva and eternal Lord Shiva are different.
yes. This is Jiva Tattva. That is not Jiva Tattva. That is Shambhu Tattva. Sadashiv. Vishnu Tattva actually.
That we call Sadashiv. Okay.
And the linga form is like, would it represent both or just Shambhu?
Only Shambhu.
Thank you.
Only Shambhu. So therefore, as devotees, whenever we worship Lord Shiva, we should have the knowledge and we should have the consciousness of which Lord Shiva are we worshipping. This Sadashiv form is the form who comes as Gopeshwar Mahadev, Chakreshwar Mahadev, Aseshwar Mahadev, all those forms which are in Vrindavan. So when you are worshipping, if you worship to Aseshwar Mahadev, to Gopeshwar Mahadev, to Sadashiv, he is the topmost Vaishnava. He can give you Krishna Bhakti because he has received it. But when you worship the Linga form or the Shambhu form, who is the Jiva Tattva, who is in the material world, then that form can only give you material happiness. Ashutosh, right? Easily pleased. Isn't it? Another name for Shambhu is Ashutosh, easily pleased. He can give you all material benefits. Those who are Lord Shiva worshippers become very opulent because easy to please and Lord Shiva grants everything. Those who worship Durga Devi also gets all material benefits. But only material benefits. Remember that. Because the role of Durga and her husband are to keep you in the material world. So that only the person who has passed the test of pure devotional service can be given entrance into the spiritual world. So when you're worshipping Lord Shiva, you must have the consciousness of worshipping the Vishnu Tattva Sadashiv, like Gopeshwar Mahadev. And only ask for devotional service, because that also can be given easily by him, since he is the topmost Vaishnava. Okay, so let's move on to second verse. Let me just set this up. Okay, repeat. Yasyam bhasi shayanasya. Come on, please.
Yasyam basi sayanasya.
Yasyam bhasi shayanasya. Sorry, shayanasya.
Yasyam basi sayanasya.
Yoga nidram vitanvataha.
Yoga nidram vitanvataha.
Nabhi hradambujad asid.
Nabi hridan bujat asid.
Brahma Vishva Srijampatihi.
Brahma Vishva Srijampatihi.
Translation. A part of the Purusha lies down within the water of the universe. From the navel lake of his body sprouts a lotus stem. And from the lotus flower atop this stem, Brahma, the master of all engineers in the universe, become manifest. Right? So, this is very beautiful. Let's read. The first Purusha is Karanodakshai Vishnu. From his skin holes, innumerable universes have sprung up. In each and every universe, the Purusha enters as the Garbhodakshai Vishnu. He is lying within the half of the universe, which is full with the water of his body. So, about less than half of the universe is filled with water, and he enters the universe. Now, this universe is in complete darkness, so it gives light with the bodily effulgence. And he lies down on this water, which comes from his body. This water also comes from his body. This Garbho ocean, Garbho Dakshai ocean, Garbho ocean, Dakshai means to lie down. Garbho ocean comes from the Lord's body. So he lies down, and then from his navel, not an ordinary navel, it's also shaped like a lotus. The navel is also shaped like a lotus, not like our navels which have no shape. A beautiful lotus-shaped navel. which is filled with water like a lake. A stem of the lotus flower springs up, and on top is a beautiful lotus flower, which is the birthplace of Lord.
Yeah.
So that is where the Satyaloka is, the topmost. And the master of all the devatas, demigod engineers, engaged in the perfect design and working of the universal order. Now, within the stem of the lotus, there are 14 planetary systems. The earthly planets are situated in the middle. Upwards, there are others, better planetary systems, and the topmost system is called Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. So just try to imagine. I think I have a picture. Let me see 1 minute. If I have it, I can just show you. I think I had a picture of the Purusha avatars. Okay. Can you all see this? Or is it frozen?
No, yeah, we can see this, Mataji.
So that's Karnodakshaya Vishnu, Sarga, and Visarga. Brahma on top of the lotus. And that's the Karana ocean, Viraja river. And that's the Brahma Jyoti. It was a very nice picture. Yeah. Here. You see, that's Garbhodakshaya Vishnu down below. And on top of the stem is Lord Brahma. And the stem has all the universes. I think we should do this separately someday. Okay. So that's Shambhu. If you see the chart, can you see this down here? The stem. It's a representation, so therefore it's like that. Okay, so we just come back to our one sec. Okay, so Brahmaloka on top, and downwards from the earthly planetary systems, there are the 7 lower planetary systems inhabited by the Asuras and similar other materialistic living beings. Anyone remembers the names of the planets? Starting upwards, downwards. Anyone has memorized? I can help you. So, Bhu, above Bhu is Bhuvar, Bhu, Bhuvar, Swarg. No? No one knows? Okay, so it's Bhu, Bhuvar, Swarg. Swarg is where Indra and all the devatas live. Swarg Lok. So Bhu, Bhuvar, Swarg, Jana, Tapa, Mahar, and Satya. Then below is Atala, Vitala, Sutala. Sutala is where? Bali Maharaj and Vaman Dev, Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu, all that. So Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatal, Rasatal, and Patal. Patal Lokas. So that's how. So 7 and 7. 7, 7 makes 14. So the lower planetary systems are the asuras and everything. Upper planetary systems are where the higher living beings are. From Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, there is an expansion of now Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Now comes the introduction of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is the collective Paramatma of all living beings. He is called Hari, and from him all incarnations within the universe are expanded. Please understand, this is very important. He is called Hari, and from him all incarnations within the universe are expanded. Krishna does not bother with all these small things. Vamanadev, Varahadev, Matsya Avatar, all these avatars come from this Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So therefore, the Vishnu avatars. Right? Therefore, the conclusion is that the Purusha avatar is manifested in 3 features. First, the Karanodakshaya, who creates aggregate material ingredients in the Mahatattva. Second, so what is the first function of Karanodakshaya? Material ingredients is provided by. Second, Garbhodakshaya, who enters each and every universe. And third, the Kshirodakshaya, Vishnu, who is the Paramatma of every material object, organic or inorganic. One who knows these planetary features of the personality of Godhead knows the Godhead perfectly. And thus the knower becomes freed from material conditions of birth, death, old age, and disease. If you understand the position of Krishna and the position of all his avatars, you will know whom to worship. Basically, it's that. In this shloka, the subject matter of Mahavishnu is summarized. Again, Srila Prabhupada is taking us through again the summary. Mahavishnu lies down in some part of the spiritual sky by his own free will. Nobody can force Krishna to do anything. Thus he lies on the ocean of Karana, from where he glances over the material nature, the Mahatattva, and Mahatattva is at once created. Material nature is Pradhan. Thus electrified by the power of the Lord, the Mahatattva at once creates innumerable universes, just as in due course a tree decorates itself with innumerable grown fruits. These seeds are already with Mahatattva. That's what Srila Prabhupada is trying to say, that a tree contains the seeds also. So you don't artificially have to give seeds to a tree for fruits. It contains. The same way Mahatattva contains the seeds from which all us jiva are created. Right? The seed of the tree is sown by the cultivator and the tree or creeper is due. Nothing can take place without a cause. The Karana ocean is therefore called the causal ocean. Karana means causal. We should not foolishly accept the atheistic theory of creation. Description of the atheists is given in Bhagavad Gita. The atheists do not believe in the creator, but he cannot give a good theory to explain creation. Material nature has no power to create without the power of a Purusha. Just as Prakriti or woman cannot produce a child without the connection of a Purusha or a man. The Purusha impregnates and Prakriti delivers. We should not expect milk. So this is another analogy which Srila Prabhupada gives, that in the neck of the goat, there are these tiny nipples like breasts. You can't expect that goat to give milk. Right? It's just there on the neck of the goat. It's just a bodily thing. So therefore, you cannot expect Prakriti to give birth without the Purusha. So the Purusha here is Karanodakshaya. Correct? Similarly, we should not expect any creative power from the material ingredients. We must believe in the power of Purusha who impregnates Prakriti or nature. Because the Lord wished to lie down in meditation, Yoga Nidra, remember in the verse, Yoga Nidra, in meditation, the material energy created innumerable universes at once. In each of them, the Lord again lays down as Garbhodakshaya. And thus all the planets and different paraphernalia were created at once by the will of the Lord. There's no time He lies down and just is created just by the Lord willing it, it creates. There's no that, acha, there's going to take 1 billion years to be created. The material ingredients have to be put together. Someone has to come. No, just by the will of the Lord, it is created. The lotus grows from the navel. In the lotuses are the planets, 14 planets. On top of it, Brahma is born. And it's all by the will of the Lord. Right? The Lord has unlimited potencies, and thus he can act as he likes by perfect planning. Although personally he does nothing. He has nothing to do with all this. Personally, he does nothing. It's just by his will. It's all happening. He personally doesn't have to take mud and make a ball and create universes. No, just wills it. And that is not him. Krishna himself is there. It's one of his expansions called Karanodakshaya Vishnu, who is doing all the work. No one is greater than or equal to him, and that is the verdict of the Vedas. Yes? Now here he's going to talk about Kshirodakshaya. I'm just going to read the verse. Yasya vayava samsthane kalpito loka vistaraha tadvai bhagavato rupam vishuddham sattvam urjitam. It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of the Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence. This is the conception of Virata Rupa or Vishwarupa. So Vishwarupa, Virata Rupa, the entire universal planetary systems are situated in the body of the Lord. But this is just an imaginary, just to give us a vision, just to give us a conception of how it is placed. So the Lord has nothing to do with any of this. He is spiritual. It is just an imagination. It is to give newcomers a kind of conception of how everything contains in the Lord's form. Because you cannot think of the Lord in a transcendental. So therefore, says Srila Prabhupada writes, to him a form means something of this material world for a neophyte. And therefore, an opposite conception of the absolute is necessary in the beginning to concentrate the mind on the power extension of the Lord. As stated above, the Lord extends his potency in the form of Mahatattva, which includes all material ingredients. The extension of power by the Lord and the Lord himself personally are one in one sense, but at the same time, Mahatattva is different from the Lord. So Mahatattva is the potency, it's the energy of the Lord, but it is different from the Lord. The Lord, Mahatattva is all the ingredients for material. It comes from the Lord, but is not Achintya Bheda Bhed. Again, it is the Lord, but not the Lord. Right? So the extension of the power of the Lord and the Lord himself personally are one in one sense, but at the same time they're different. Therefore, the potency of the Lord and the Lord are simultaneously different and non-different. The conception of the Virat Rupa, especially for the impersonalist, is thus non-different from the eternal form of the Lord. This eternal form of the Lord exists prior to the creation of Mahatattva, and it is stressed here that the eternal form of the Lord is par excellence spiritual or transcendental to the modes of material nature. Lord existed even before the modes, even before the material ingredients. So we can't take a impersonalist view and say that the Lord, when the material world was created, the Lord also took a form. No, the Lord existed even before that. He's eternally existing in the spiritual world. These are, when creation takes place, these are the different potencies which form the material world. Right? The very same transcendental form of the Lord is manifested by his internal potency, and the formation of his multifarious manifestations of incarnations is always of the same transcendental quality without any touch of the Mahatattva. All the incarnations of the Lord, whether it is Narayan, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Varaha, Matsya, all are the same transcendental quality, the same spiritual quality as the Lord. There is no difference. It is the Lord himself. None of them are touched by Mahatattva. None of them are touched by the material ingredients. They are above the three modes of material nature. Okay, text 4. Pashyanti yadorupam madha prachakshusha Sahasrapadoru bhujananadbhutam Sahasramurdha shravanakshinaasikam Sahasramolyambara kundalola sat. The devotees with their perfect eyes see the transcendental form of the Purusha who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms, and faces, all extraordinary. In that body, there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings and are adorned with garlands. This is the form of the Virat Purusha. This is also comes in Purusha Suktam, Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha, Sahasrapad Sahasraksha. So there are thousands of heads, thousands of eyes, thousands of hands, legs, everything. So, with our present materialized senses, we cannot perceive anything transcendental of the Lord, right? Our present senses are to be rectified by the process of devotional service. Just like Arjun got specialized to see the Lord, Virat Roop of the Lord in the battlefield, we can also see the transcendental form of the Lord through devotional service. So therefore, devotional service can lead you to the side of the Lord, and only devotional service can reveal the Lord to you. So you have to anoint your eyes with a tinge of devotional service. Yes, in Brahma Samhita also it says that, what's that verse? Anyone remembers? Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. Premanjana Churita. That is, you put the Anjana, the kajal of prema in your eyes, then you will be able to see the Lord. What is this prema? Prema means devotional service. When you do devotional service, what does it lead to? From Shraddha, it leads you to prema. So this last line is very, very nice. So only with patience and perseverance can we realize the transcendental subject matter regarding the absolute truth and its different forms. He is formless to the neophytes, but he is transcendental form to the expert servitor. Right? So we have to have patience. Okay, and this we'll stop after this verse. Etan nanavataranam nidhanam bijam avyayam Yasyam shamshena srijyante deva tiryannaradhayaha. This form, the second manifestation of the Purusha, that is the Garbhodakshai, is the source and indestructible seed of the multifarious incarnation within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form, different living entities like Devatas, men and others are created. From Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Yes, the Purusha, after creating innumerable universes in the Mahatattva, entered into each of them as the second Purusha, Garbhodakshai. When he saw that within the universe there was only darkness and space without a resting place, what did he do? He filled half the universe with water from his own perspiration and then laid down on it. This is called the Garbhodaka ocean. Then from his navel, the stem of lotus flower sprouted, and the flower petals. And on the flower petals, the birth of Brahma, or the master engineer of the universal plan, took place. Brahma became the engineer of the universe, the first engineer ever. That's why all of us want our sons to become engineers. So it comes from Brahma, I think. And the Lord himself took charge of the maintenance of the universe as Vishnu. Brahma was generated from Rajagun of Prakriti, or the mode of passion. Why? Because he had to create. And Vishnu became the Lord of the mode of goodness. We saw this in previous chapter also. Vishnu, being transcendental to all the modes, is always aloof from materialistic affection. This has already been explained. From Brahma, there is Rudra, who is in charge of the mode of ignorance. That Shambhu is different, and this Shiva is Rudra is again different. Rudra, again, there are 11 Rudras. Now, this Rudra is in charge of the mode of ignorance or darkness. So, he takes 11 different forms in 11 different directions to do 11 different things for Brahma. He destroys the whole creation by the will of the Lord. Therefore, all three, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, are incarnations of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. What is the other name for this? Which incarnations are these? Which avatars are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva in the three modes? I spoke to you about
three modes of material nature. Rajagun, Tamogun, and Sattvagun.
Yes, but what are they called? They are called the Guna avatars.
Guna.
Yes. So these are the Guna avatars which come from Garbhodakshai Vishnu. From Brahma, then all the other devatas like Daksha, Marichi, Manu, and many others are incarnated to generate the living entities within the universe. This Garbhodakshai Vishnu is glorified in Garbhastuti, which is a description of the Lord having thousands of heads. Purusha, Sahasra Shisha Purusha. Purusha Suktam is also Garbhastuti. The Garbhodakshai Vishnu is the Lord of the universe, and although he appears to be lying within the universe, he is always transcendental. This also has already been explained. The Vishnu who is the plenary portion of the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, is the super soul, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, right? And the maintainer. So these three features of the original Purusha are thus understood, and all incarnations within the universe are emanations from Kshirodakshai Vishnu. In different millennia, why is Srila Prabhupada saying this again and again? So that when you go through the other avatars which are going to come up now, the Leela avatars, you should understand that they all come from Kshirodakshai Vishnu. And therefore, when we come to the Paribhasha Sutra of Yete Amcha Kala Pumsar, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, you understand that Krishna is Krishna. And he only comes once in the day of Brahma. Okay, so that's why this build-up, Sutta Goswami, Sukadeva Goswami is also giving us this build-up. Sutta Goswami actually. In different millennia, there are different incarnations and there are innumerable, although some of them are very prominent. There are innumerable, all cannot be mentioned in one book. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Rama, Narsimha, Vamana, many others. These incarnations are called Leela avatars. Then Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the qualitative Guna avatars. Correct? Lord Vishnu is non-different from the personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is the marginal position between the personality of Godhead and the Jivas. Brahma is always a Jiva Tattva. The highest pious living being or the greatest devotee of the Lord is empowered with the potency of the Lord for creation, and he's called Brahma. The highest pious living being or the greatest devotee of the Lord. So if you become the greatest devotee of the Lord Hema, you can become Lord Brahma. If you want to. I don't want to. Because Brahma, in one of the stutis, he says, I have no, in Birhad Bhagavatamritam, he cries to Narad, he says, all the time I have work, I have no time to even sit down and chant. I get up in the morning and I have to again appoint all the devatas, and then something I have to do, I have to create, I have to make, I have to do this, I have to do that. There's no time. I don't want to do this. I just want to chant. So I don't want to become Brahma, but who knows, if the Lord says you become, then. So the greatest devotee of the Lord is empowered with the potency of the Lord for creation, and he's called Brahma. His power is like the power of the sun reflected in valuable stones and jewels. When there is no such living being, then the post is taken by the Lord himself. Lord Shiva again is not an ordinary living being. He is the plenary portion of the Lord. But because Lord Shiva is in direct touch with material nature, he is not exactly in the same transcendental position as Lord Vishnu. The difference is between milk and curd. Curd is nothing but milk, but it cannot be used in the place of milk. The next incarnations are Manus, Manu, yeah. So each Manvantara has a Manu. Within 1 day's duration of life, which is calculated as 4 million into 1,000 years, there are 14 Manus. So we've already done this, right? 14 Manus, so therefore there are 420 Manus in 1 month of Brahma. There are 5,040 Manus in 1 year of Brahma. Into 100, so therefore there are 504, 100,000 Manus in Brahma's lifetime. So yeah, so this, as we go through Srimad Bhagavatam, you will know what are the different names of the Manus. One, we have to remember Vaivasvata Manu, the present one. Yeah. Vamana as Vaivasvata Manu. Yeah. Then there are the Yuga avatars. Each Yuga has an avatar, right? And they are of different colors, white, red, black, and yellow. In Dwapar, Lord Krishna came in black. And in Kali, Lord Chaitanya came in yellow. But only in this Kali Yuga he comes as yellow, otherwise he comes as black. And Krishna is in blue. So all the incarnations of the Lord are mentioned in the revealed scriptures. Another book to read, Rupa Goswami's Laghu Bhagavatamrita. All this is given in detail. Apart from the direct incarnations, there are innumerable empowered. Which are these? These are the Shakti Avesh avatar, which I spoke to you about. Like Kumaras, Narad, Prithu, Shesh, Anantashesh. They are all Vibhutis, right? So we'll come to this as we go ahead. We won't confuse you now. As we go ahead, all this will become clear. So that is the question number 4 answered from 1 to 5. What are the Purusha avatars? Who are the Purushas? Karanodaksha, Garbhodaksha, Kshirodaksha. So, and now you know their functions as well. Okay, any questions?
I had a question on the energies of the Lord and Mahatattva. How are they connected?
So Mahatattva is the external energy of the Lord.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Anything to do with material is external energy.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
With this justification and reading after everything, we come to know what is the real position of Krishna more clearly.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. Otherwise, earlier it was all a merge. Acha, Krishna's avatar is Krishna an avatar, is Vishnu an avatar, Vishnu say Krishna, it's all such a khichdi. And then even understanding that all the other avatars, like Varaha, Matsya, everyone, comes from Kshirodakshai, not even Garbhodakshai. Not that there is a difference between Kshiro and Garbho and Karana, but still, first comes Karana, then Garbho, then Kshirodakshai. So now see, you have to understand that there is, from one Karana Dakshai Vishnu comes so many universes. Each universe has a Garbhodakshai. And each Garbhodakshai Vishnu, each universe expands as so many Kshirodakshai. Every universe, in that universe, whatever avatars are happening is from Kshirodakshai. So look at the management level over here. So you don't have to worry that, oh, this Kshirodaksha, our universe is busy because he's gone to the other universe. No, we have our own Kshirodakshai. They have their own Kshirodakshai. They have their own Garbhodakshai. But all together is one Karnadakshai. So when annihilation happens, what happens? First Kshirodakshai winds up. Then Garbhodakshai winds up. All the things go back into Karnadakshai. That's when he goes. That's when he inhales. So one inhale, everything comes back. One exhale, everything goes out. So at that time of inhalation and exhalation, if you have still some leftover work in the material world, you come back and you resume. Otherwise, you are liberated. Oh, off you go. No need of material world. Go to the spiritual world. So we have to focus on not Karnadakshai, breathing in, breathing out. We have to focus on how to reach Golok Vrindavan. So that verse for us, therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami says, is a Paribhasha Sutra. And that you have to memorize. All these verses you have to memorize. Ete Chamsha Kala Pumsa Krishnas Tu Bhagavan Swayam. Tu over here does not mean tu, you. But. Tu in Sanskrit means but. But Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. Swayam Bhagavan. No plenary portion, no portion of the plenary portion. He is Bhagavan. Swayam. From him emanates everything. Sarva Karana Karanam. Then your conviction, your perseverance to attain that position again next to Krishna will ignite, will kind of, you'll start getting this burning feeling that kab hoga, when will I go? When that arises, then you are slowly coming into little bit of bhav, not too much, little bit. When will I? I just want to be with you. That is the beginning of your bhav state. Asakti and bhav. So that's why it's very important to go through Bhagavatam from first canto till 12th canto. By the time you reach 10th canto, you know Krishna's position. You know who he is. Then you don't want to look here and there. You just want to be absorbed in his pastimes. And once you do that, then you cleansed completely. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. So you have to, come on everyone, buck up. We have to chant and we have to cleanse ourselves. And Krishna is waiting for us. Like he was waiting for Gopakumar. When Gopakumar reached, he said, I was waiting for you, when he just came and hugged him. He's waiting for us. He's saying, Kab aayenge, Kab aayenge. So, buck up. Come on, mom.
Sometimes I feel, कितने दूर आए उनसे, कितने levels पास कर, कितने दूर आए.
बहुत दूर आ गए. But बहुत पास आ गए, thanks to Srila Prabhupada. Like Anjali was saying, if these books were not there, how would we know? If ISKCON was not there, how would we know? It's very nice to say that, Are, ye to, pehle West gaya, fir aaya. It's because we are studying in English, na? That's why it was important for him to write in English. I mean, if it was in Sanskrit, any of us would have even picked up that book. I wouldn't have, of course. Even if it was in Hindi, I wouldn't have picked it up. I needed this English. So, he's given it to us so nicely. So, we have to study it. Like my Guru Maharaj was saying, today in the morning I was listening to his lecture. He was saying that we can't just read Bhagavatam. We have to study Srimad Bhagavatam. And again and again and again. Just absorb yourself into Srimad Bhagavatam. Then you'll understand every purport. Srila Prabhupada, what does he say? Devotional service. Every purport. That's the key. We have to understand that is the secret key out of this world, out of this material world. And then also we shouldn't have any too much attachment, because there is a pastime. One of the Goswami says that when you're leaving, when you're leaving the material world, it's all set. Oh, you're going to go Loka. You're going to Vaikuntha. You're sitting on the Viman. You're flying with the Vishnu Dutas. And then you look down and say, wow, look at Swarglok. It's so beautiful. Gone. Vishnu Duta says, oh, you find that beautiful? Oh, please get down. Please get down. Gone. Or actually, there was one thing about you flying and then you see, oh wow, Switzerland looks so nice. Imagine you're flying on Emirates and then suddenly you look down, oh, Switzerland looks beautiful. And the pilot says, okay, here's your parachute, go, jump. It's like that. So we have to fill our mind with pastimes of Krishna and the descriptions of Vrindavan. So much descriptions and his pastimes, so much it has to fill in us that when we look at Swargaloka, we feel, what is this nonsense? Where is Goloka? Because we don't want to be laid off on the way. They'll say, okay, you find this beautiful. And believe me, each loka you go is more beautiful. So my Guru Maharaj says, if you put all the most beautiful women of this world together, 100 times that is the beauty of the women in Swargaloka. If you take that beauty and you multiply 1,000 times, it's the beauty of the Apsaras in Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka also has Apsaras. Don't think that only Swargaloka has Apsaras. Brahmaloka also has Apsaras. And 1,000 times more than Swargaloka. So this Rambha and all those people are just nothing in 2,000. If you take the Apsaras of Brahmaloka and multiply even by 100,000 times, they cannot match Lakshmi. She's so beautiful. And then you put all the Lakshmis together also, they still can't match Srimati Radhika's beauty and the Vraja Gopi's beauty. So that's not only for the damsels, even the places. Swargaloka is so beautiful. But Jana, Tapa, Mahar, Brahma, more beautiful than Swargaloka. And that's there even with the lower planetary systems. Like Sutala, Vittala and all, they are more beautiful than Swargaloka. So if you just look and say, oh, so beautiful, no? They'll say, okay, get down. So fill your mind with Srimad Bhagavatam. Then you'll be fine. Yeah. So we've come a long way, but we don't have a long way to go. We just have to chant and get out of this material world. That's it. It's not difficult. Okay, if there's no questions, we'll stop for today. Yeah. Let's chant 3 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare
See you all
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji.
next week.